Hello guys, today I'll be showcasing to you fungal infection spore. Now I've been working on this for a very long time now, and it also got stopped because my phone broke, but my phone is now fixed and I get to showcase it to you guys. This is the flesh mound. The flesh mound starts at phase 1. It will slowly spread mycelium blocks. The mycelium mycelium blocks will spawn in with a flesh. What is it? Whoops. A mycelium spore, and it can also spawn in with a fungal spike, a mycelium vine, and mycelium roots. It will slowly grow bigger, and it will go into phase 2, and then it will go into its max form at phase 3. When a creature is killed by one of these, they will turn into an infected, and players can also become an infected by getting killed by another infected. This is the infected villager. It is one of the base forms, and it has nothing special to it. The infected witch, however, the infected witch is different, because the infected witch, they can cast spells. They can make themselves invincible, they can make themselves faster, and they can make themselves heal. The infected raider has a crossbow and can shoot arrows at a unit from afar, but it has no way of attacking melee. The infected diver does more damage the longer you are next to it. If it goes away in a quick time, then all the damage that it's gathered is gone. The infected spellmaker has a lot of health and is slow, and they do a lot of damage. When it dies, it drops its spellmaker claw, and the spellmaker claw can attack anything that gets near it. The infected corpse is a skeleton surrounded by fungal. It's nothing special, and it's just like the fungal villager. The infected raider version 2 instead is a melee. It does lots of damage and is quite fast, but doesn't have that much HP. The infected trader can go invisible when taking damage. It's quite slow, it doesn't do that much damage, and it has quite a lot of HP. Time for the evolved creatures. The evolved creatures can happen once the infected are alive for a pretty long time. I don't know when, not specific. Stalker can go invisible after taking a hit. One Stalker, after hitting another creature, doing it while being invisible, will go uninvisible. Leaper will jump towards enemies every 5 seconds. When it's jumping, it is invincible, and it does extra damage, and it is extra fast. The Braille Mill is similar to Infected Villager, but it has better stats. And the Braille Mill damages all creatures nearby. The Bloater is an evolution of the infected diver. The bloater is faster, has more health, and does more damage per second. The griefer is fast and cannot be killed. Once it collides with an enemy, it will explode, doing 30 damage and spawning in mycelium spores everywhere. The spitter is similar to the infected raider, but the spitter is better because it has less range, but it does way more damage, and it can stab enemies up close with its tiny little bones. The slasher will stab and grab any enemy nearby, doing a lot of damage. But other than that, it has the same stats as a normal infected villager. The brute is different. The brute is used to be able to carry blocks, but now it's not able to. The brute is slow and makes a noise whenever damaging a creature. It is small, and sometimes it can carry other creatures on its back. Well, that's a rare occurrence. The knight is similar to a slasher, but it's extra health, and it's a little slower, and it doesn't have as much damage as the slasher. The Vernathorn. The Vernathorn has an extra layer for damage. If you approach the Vernathorn, you will take 12 damage, and after that, when you make contact with the Vernathorn will then attack you, doing an additional 8 damage. Other than that, there's nothing special about it. Howler. The Howler howls every 8 seconds. When it howls, it spawns in 2 enemies to help fight. It can only spawn in 4. There can only be 4 of its minions on the map at once. Other than that, it only does a little extra damage than a normal infected villager. The Knuckle-RV is the evolution of the infected villager. It is fast, does decent damage, and has a crossbow, so it can shoot from afar as well. Next is the Gas Jibber. The Gas Jibber cannot attack, but it has minimal health, and it's quite slow. After 20 seconds of being born, the Gas Jibber will root itself into the ground. When it roots itself into the ground, it will start spreading like a flesh mound. However, it will not evolve while spreading, but that could change in an update. But when it's rooted, it cannot move, and it's stuck there for the rest of the game until it is killed. The Fairy is currently the only flying infected that I have made. The Fairy flies around and will drop down on enemies when they're underneath it. When it drops down on enemies, the enemies will not be able to attack it. But enemies can attack it but creatures can attack it while it's not attacking though. The Jaghund is a basic evolved, and it has a special ability. It is a little faster than the brute, but does less damage and has more health. It's able to dig underground. When it digs underground, it becomes extremely fast, and you are not able to see it, but you can still see its hitbox. When it's underground, you cannot damage it, and it cannot damage you. After a few seconds of being underground, it will dig out of the ground somewhere else. Next is the Infected Construct. Currently, the Infected Construct is being reworked, and it cannot spawn in. But when it's reworked, it will be able to throw blocks at people, and it will be able to pick up and throw people. Time for the Hyper Evolved. The Spectre is a Hyper Evolved. The Spectre can steal items, go invisible, is fast, has lots of health, and does a lot of damage. The Volatile is a hyper evolution of the Witch. The Volatile will constantly use spells, is taller, stronger, has more health, and does more damage. And the spells are buffed. Next is the Inquisitor. The Inquisitor gains +5 more health. The Inquisitor gains +5 more health every time it takes a hit. So, if you want to kill the Inquisitor, you will have to do more than 5 damage, or else you won't be able to damage the Inquisitor at all. It has 80 health, it's slow, and it doesn't do that much damage. The Broadcatse is the hyper evolution of the Braille. The Broadcatse is able to jump at enemies, is quite fast, medium health, and doesn't do that much damage, but it does a lot of damage with its smoke. Just like the Braille Mill, all units nearby it will take quite a lot of damage every second. The Wendigo is the hyper evolution of the Stalker. The Wendigo is able to go invisible before the creature can attack it, and it can still attack while it's invisible. When it attacks, it will have to wait 5 seconds before going uninvisible. The Hexenmeister is the hyper evolution of the infected spellcaster. The Hexenmeister is fast, has a lot of HP, and does a lot of damage. When it dies, it drops a Hexenmeister Claw. The Hexenmeister Claw is able to run around and latch onto creatures, throwing them around. The Axe Thrower, when the Axe Thrower is the hyper evolution of the Infected Raider version 2. What it does is the Axe Thrower, whenever killing an enemy, is spawned. The Axe Thrower, whenever killing an enemy, is spawned in a Axe Thrower skull marking. The skull marking, after 20 seconds, will rise from the dead and spawn in an infected corpse. And adding to that, the infected spellcaster also does extra damage every time it kills a creature. The final hyper evolution is the ogre. The ogre is big and does extra damage on its tail. Its tail will fling you if you are damaged by it. It makes loud growls, is quite slow, has a lot of HP, and does a lot of damage. When an evolved infected dies, there's a chance of dropping a reconstructed mind. A reconstructed mind, if left alone for a long time, it will evolve into a proto-hive mind. A proto-hive mind will heal 25 health every 30 seconds to make sure that it doesn't stay at low health. It can infect the ground just like a flesh mound, and can spawn hallucinations. Hallucinations look and act like a normal infected villager, but when you're hit by it, it will make you waste your bullets and make you waste your special attacks. And when it attacks you, it will disappear, saying hallucination. The proto-hive can spawn in stationary creatures to guard itself. The creatures are the vigil. Including those creatures are the vigil. The vigil will dig underground and pop up somewhere else, spawning in infected to attack enemies. The Verwahurung will last for 4 seconds and cannot be killed. Once the 4 seconds is over, the Verwahurung will open, and then after opening will be destroyed. The Verwahurung will then spawn in an evolved infected. The Verwahurung does not spawn often and is a very rare occurrence, and only spawns in when proto-hive mind is being attacked. The Umama is basically a slasher but stationary. It will grab and pin any creature to the floor, suffocating it if they get close. The Usurper shoots just like the Spitter. It shoots acid at other creatures and does the same and looks around to make sure it guards the proto-hive mind at all times. The proto-hive mind, when dying, will spawn in a raid tent. Will spawn in a bunch of infected floor and an infected membrane. When the infected membrane is destroyed, it will spawn in a raid tentacle. The raid tentacle can be destroyed and will start spawning in creatures to protect all. The proto-hive mind will spawn in a womb. The womb, if not destroyed, will grow bigger and bigger. Once it grows big enough, it will release a calamity. The calamities that are able to be chosen are the seizure. The seizure is normal. It's medium speed, a lot of health, and does a lot of damage. The Gazin Breacher gains plus 5 more damage every time it kills a creature. When it kills a creature, it also spawns in it can only spawn in an infected diver. It is slow on land but quite fast in water. The Hindenburg drops bombs on creatures and can be shot at and doesn't have that much health and is decently fast. The Howitzer shoots out bombs from the top and the bombs will go in a random direction, damaging any creature that is hit. The Hole Thresher digs underground. If any creature is hit by it underground, then it will do 75 damage. The Hole Thresher, if the creature is above it, it will come out of the ground and attack it, doing only 15 damage. But it will repeat that That is all for fungal infection spore, other than the fact that the howitzer spawns in bile every single time it damaged. I might have missed on something, but bye.